It's now 12 hours 19 in Guyana. With your news at this time, I'm Kevin Smith. The oil contract that Guyana entered into with ExxonMobil is infamous globally for the favorable fiscal terms it extends to the oil producer, in which it benefits from paying a mere 2% royalty and no taxes. But in addition to these glaring lopsided provisions, the agreement also features a number of other gaps that allow for possible exploitation of the nation. One such provision in the contract outlines that Guyana's oil must pay the salaries of employees hired by the contractor, whether they are assigned permanently abroad or locally. Notably, these expenses are not subjected to prior approval by the government. And Venezuela's oil minister Tarek El Assami said yesterday he will resign, and at least 6 officials were arrested following investigations by police into corruption, including a state-owned oil company, Petróleos de Venezuela, or PDVSA. Venezuelan anti-graft police arrested a mere 2 judges and 3 government officials, at least 2 of whom are connected with PDVSA. State television and sources familiar with the matter said earlier on Monday. Arresting government officials for corruption is rare in Venezuela, which rights groups such as Transparency International have described as opaque. El Assami has been under U.S. sanctions since 2017 for alleged connections to drug trafficking, which he denied. The government of Guyana has so far ignored calls from both civil society and the opposition for the review period in the new draft PSA to be extended. 2 drafts for the deep and shallow water areas were released last Tuesday, marking the commencement of a 14-day consultation. Several members of the public had recommended that the consultation period be extended to cater for a thorough review of the agreements. We had reached out to Minister of Natural Resources Vikram Bharat on Friday for his position on the calls being made, but received no response. Meanwhile, stakeholder coordinator for the ministry, Ms. Michaela Prince, yesterday explained that no change to the timeline has been communicated. A mother is now mourning the death of her 7-month-old daughter, Oriah, who reportedly died after falling from a bed and suffocating in a sheet at a daycare. According to the woman, her daughter fell into the corner of a bed in a sheet, which reportedly suffocated her. According to the woman, her daughter had gone home with a swollen head prior to her death. The grieving mother is demanding justice for the death of her child. And the U.S. government has flagged the Guyana Police Force's failure to investigate claims that some of its officers were bribed by a businessman to foil the Ricardo Fagundes, aka Paper Shorts, murder investigation. In its 2022 Human Rights Report released on Monday, corruption of police officers was frequent in 2022. One of the major corruption scandals was that of senior investigating officers of the force's Criminal Investigation Department accepted a $30 million bribe to cover up the 2020 murder of Fagundes. The Department of State's conclusion that the force did not investigate the bribery claims was made after the Barbados headquartered Regional Security Service had completed a review of the force's investigation into Fagundes' murder. In August last year, the government was forced to invite the RSS to review the work done by the force in the murder probe after Bascom publicly accused the police force of covering up the case. Meanwhile, teachers, students, and parents of the Harmony Secondary School located at Wismar Linden staged a protest on Tuesday demanding better security at the school while denouncing violence. On Monday, a teen gang invaded the school and injured a teacher. The invasion is reportedly linked to a fight between 2 students of the school, one of whom is reportedly a member of the teen gang. We understand that one of the 2 students involved in the fight is hospitalized. The gang invasion has left both the students and teachers traumatized and fearful for their lives. Teachers said that several teenagers who are said to be members of the gang ran into the school armed with scissors, wood, and a knife and attacked a student who was unable to identify the student, who was involved in the fight with the alleged gang member. The attackers, while on a wild chase to find their target, injured the teacher in her face. It is now 12 hours 24 in Guyana. You're listening to Kaieteur Radio. We'll take a short break and return with your news.
Kaieteur Radio.
Covering Guyana from coast to coast.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Right now, children are at an increased risk of sexual abuse, and the perpetrator can be nearer than you think. So stay alert and be aware. Be aware of your neighbors. Be aware of your friends. Be aware of the people you have in your home. Do not become complacent. Protect children now. You can make a report to the police or call the CPA hotline on 227-0979.
A message from the Child Care and Protection Agency, Ministry of Human Services and Social Security, and UNICEF.
Welcome back. Guyana has often received counsel from industry experts who believe in strengthening the country's institutional framework to run parallel with the development of its oil and gas sector. Though 7 years have passed since the nation first discovered oil, little has been done on this front. Weighing in on the prospects of the country, Jamaican economist Dr. Damien King recently said he believes Guyana can easily fall prey to corruption, given its weak institutions. In fact, King even told the Jamaican Observer, a daily newspaper published in Kingston, Jamaica, that Guyana is going nowhere. Local economist Elson Lowe and veteran Raymond Gaskin said that the Jamaican economist has hit the nail on the head in terms of forecasting the future of Guyana, since the warning signs for economic gloom is already evident. Lowe, in an invited comment, explained oil-rich countries very often see those close to the government become extremely wealthy, while the average man is no better off. Many warning signs that Guyana is going nowhere are present. For one, the economist pointed out that there is a glaring lack of transparency when it comes to managing the oil and gas sector. And coming from DPI, the $900 million Forestry Resolving Fund for Small and Medium-Sized Loggers was launched on Tuesday at the Arthur Chang Conference Center. During a ceremony held to commemorate International Day of Forests and to mark the launch of the fund, Senior Minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashni Singh, emphasized the need for investments in the forestry sector, noting that forests remain an integral part of environmental conservation. The fund is part of the government's commitment to increase focus on small, medium, and community loggers and will see the government of Guyana contributing $300 million, while Demerara Bank Limited will provide the remaining $600 million. And 10 children will this week undergo open heart surgeries as part of the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation's Pediatric Cardiac Program, which was relaunched on Monday. The program is a collaboration between the Ministry of Health, GPHC, Gift of Life International, and the Guyana Program to Advance Cardiac Care. The program was initially launched in 2015 but ended a few years ago. Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony, during one of his COVID-19 update appearances back in 2021, had mentioned that Guyana would soon restart this program as several children have been diagnosed with various cardiac pathologies that require surgery. And the Bar Association of Guyana has added its voice to condemn the recent actions of a sitting judicial officer over his public chastisement of a senior officer of Inner Bar for alleged wrongdoings. The statement by the Bar Association follows closely behind the decision of High Court Justice Sandil Kissoon, who cited senior counsel Stephen Fraser for colluding with his client to defraud her family members out of their portion of an estate. In his decision, Justice Kissoon axed an estate from an Essequibo woman who was cited for dishonesty and fraud in relation to the last will and testament of her father. Justice Kissoon ruled that Marina and Boating Services property of Essequibo, sold to Antares Inc. back in 2017, had been fraudulently done and sold below value to Deborah de Silva de Santos, daughter of the deceased. And at this time, we close things off with the page 7 of today's Kaieteur News dedicated to being blunt. American Ambassador Lynch and sanctity of contract. Ambassador Lynch spoke 3 years ago about renegotiation. Ambassador Lynch spoke of Guyana's deciding on room for renegotiation. Ambassador Lynch stood by Guyana's sovereign right to renegotiate. Ambassador Lynch is on record saying, "We certainly won't interfere." Ambassador Lynch, why are you interfering now and endorsing contract sanctity? Ambassador Lynch, why is America now changing its tune and backing sanctity of contract? And that brings us to the end of today's news at noon. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar